Mountain View, California. March 2013, 9:47 a.m., an accounts payable clerk at Google receives an email. Subject line, invoice. Payment due. Sender, Quanta Computer. Attachment, a PDF. Quanta Computer is a legitimate supplier. They manufacture server components for Google's data centers. The invoice looks standard. Line items match previous orders. Bank routing numbers are correct. The corporate seal is perfect. The clerk approves the payment. $23 million. Except Quanta Computer never sent that invoice. The email came from a ghost, Evaldas Rimasauskas, 48 years old, operating from a small office in Vilnius, Lithuania. Between 2013 and 2015, he sent fake invoices to Google and Facebook. Total collected, $122 million, and it all started with a PDF. To understand how Rimasauskas pulled this off, you need to understand corporate invoice systems. Google and Facebook process thousands of invoices every month from hundreds of vendors across dozens of countries. The verification process is automated if the vendor name matches, if the purchase order number exists, if the routing information is formatted correctly, the system approves it. Rimasauskas didn't hack the system. He studied it. He registered a company in Latvia called Quanta Computer. Same name as the legitimate Taiwanese manufacturer. He opened bank accounts in Cyprus and Hong Kong using that name. He obtained authentic-looking corporate documents. Then he forged the invoices. Not crude forgeries, perfect replicas. He copied the exact font, the exact layout, the exact corporate seal. He even included legitimate purchase order numbers, numbers he'd obtained by phishing Google and Facebook employees months earlier. When the invoices arrived, they didn't raise any flags because everything looked legitimate. The vendor name was real. The purchase orders were real. The bank accounts were registered to Quanta Computer. Google paid $23 million, then $15 million, then $8 million. Facebook paid $19 million, then $12 million, then $7 million. By the time anyone noticed, Rimasauskas had moved $122 million through a network of shell accounts: Latvia, Cyprus, Hong Kong, Singapore, and he was untouchable until he made one mistake. February 2026, the DOJ releases 47,000 pages of documents related to the Rimasauskas case. Most of the files detail the forgery operation, but buried in the metadata, investigators find something else: email exchanges between Rimasauskas and accounts registered in Moscow. Not personal correspondence, operational briefings. Rimasauskas wasn't just a lone fraudster. He was part of a network that had access to corporate infrastructure data that shouldn't have been available. The 2026 files reveal that Rimasauskas received detailed schematics, Google's vendor approval workflow, Facebook's accounts payable system architecture, internal employee directories. This wasn't information you could get from phishing emails. This was insider intelligence. U.S. investigators believe Rimasauskas was operating as a financial proxy, a cutout. His job: execute the fraud and move the money. Someone else's job: provide the intelligence and laundering infrastructure. The 2026 leak doesn't name the foreign intelligence service, but the trail leads to Moscow and to accounts linked to known GRU front companies. Rimasauskas wasn't just stealing from Google and Facebook. He was demonstrating a vulnerability, proving that even the most sophisticated tech companies could be compromised. Not by hacking their servers, but by hacking their trust. March 2017. Rimasauskas is arrested in Lithuania. extradited to the United States. Charged with wire fraud and money laundering, he pleads guilty, sentenced to 5 years, ordered to forfeit $49.7 million. But here's the paradox. Google and Facebook didn't want this case to go public. In the initial filings, both companies were referred to only as Company 1 and Company 2. Their names were redacted. Why? Because admitting they'd been fooled by a PDF would destroy investor confidence. If a high school level forgery could bypass their security protocols, what else could get through? The companies didn't want the public to know. They wanted the case sealed. But in 2018, investigative journalists identified the victims. Google and Facebook were forced to confirm. Both companies issued statements. They called it a sophisticated attack. They emphasized that no user data was compromised. But the truth was simpler. They were hacked by a PDF, and they paid $122 million before anyone noticed. The 2026 files reveal one final detail. Of the $122 million Rimasauskas stole, only $49.7 million was recovered. The remaining $72 million? Gone. Moved through shell accounts in Moscow, laundered through cryptocurrency exchanges, distributed to accounts that no longer exist. Rimasauskas served his sentence. Released in 2022, he returned to Lithuania and disappeared. But the network that provided him with intelligence, still operational, still targeting corporate invoice systems, still exploiting the weakest link in cybersecurity, human trust. This case is ongoing. Subscribe to stay in the feed. This is Offshore Files, Case 012. The ledger never lies.